Hello dear Madridistas. Before we begin the video, make sure to subscribe to support the channel. According to information available as of April 21, 2026, Kylian Mbappe's arrival at Real Madrid has created significant tension and a complicated coexistence with Vinicius, with some observers believing the Brazilian has lost his status as the team's undisputed leader, going from a hero to a soldier on the pitch. Here are the key points of the situation. Perceived drop in performance. Spanish media have highlighted a decline in Vinicius' form since Mbappé arrived, sometimes describing him as invisible or frustrated with the coach's tactical decisions, especially when Mbappé occupies the left side, Vinicius' preferred zone. Positional conflict. Since both players prefer operating on the left wing, their partnership has forced tactical adjustments, which may have caused frustration for Vinicius. Internal and media tensions. Reports have suggested disagreements, even jealousy, with the atmosphere allegedly deteriorating between the Brazilian star and the Madrid club. Unconvincing overall performances. While rumors of departures have surfaced, some sources also claim the real issue lies in the team's overall level. No major titles since December 2024, meaning both players must reflect on their own performances. Conflicting narratives. Mbappé himself has stated that he has a very good relationship with Vinicius, blaming the speculation on the media. Although their coexistence has been difficult and may have affected Vinicius' impact, it seems premature to speak of a ruined career, as he remains a key part of the Madrid squad. Alright, let's begin today's Madrid news update, so stay until the end to get all the latest information. I have the feeling that what many still refuse to admit is already happening right before our eyes. What if Kylian Mbappe's arrival at Real Madrid, which was supposed to mark the beginning of a glorious new era, is actually weakening one of the club's most important players of recent years, Vinícius Júnior? The question is uncomfortable, it divides opinions, it even shocks some supporters. Yet it deserves to be asked directly, honestly, and without fear of debate. Because top-level football forgives nothing. Because at Real Madrid, emotions matter less than results. Because when balance is broken, even the biggest stars can stumble. And right now, there is real concern surrounding Vinicius. Deep concern. Concern many people see, but few dare to express clearly. For years, Vinicius was far more than just a winger. He was the symbol of Madrid's renewal, the player capable of changing a match with one burst of speed, one dribble, one flash of brilliance. The player who made the stadium rise. The player who represented the future. He endured criticism, mockery, and difficult beginnings before becoming a deadly weapon. He earned everything through hard work, personality, and hunger to succeed. Nothing was handed to him. He earned his status. He earned the fans' love. He earned the right to be considered one of the faces of the club. Then Mbappé arrived, a global superstar, an extraordinary player, a name that sells shirts, creates dreams, attracts cameras, sponsors, and headlines. His arrival was supposed to improve everything. More goals, more fear in opponents, more domination, more trophies. That was the promise. That was the story sold to the world. But football is not a video game. You cannot simply stack stars together like cards. There are spaces to share, egos to manage, habits to break, hierarchies to redefine, and most importantly, there are zones on the pitch that do not magically multiply. The left wing, Vinicius' natural territory, is also Mbappe's favorite area. From that very moment, a major issue already existed. A tactical issue, a psychological issue, a human issue. Who steps aside? Who adapts? Who changes their game? Who accepts less comfort for the good of the team? On paper, people talked about complementarity. On the pitch, we have often seen hesitation, overlapping movements, poorly timed runs, confused occupation of space, and above all, a Vinicius who looks less free, less spontaneous, less destructive. It is no coincidence that many observers speak of a decline in output. It is not pure media invention when some matches leave the impression of a faded Vinicius. When a player of that level becomes secondary during phases of play, it is never insignificant. This is not only about statistics. It is about energy, body language, confidence, presence. Sometimes, you sense a player searching for his place instead of imposing it. And that is where the danger begins. Because Vinicius' greatest strength was never only his speed or dribbling. His greatest strength was absolute belief. That feeling that he stepped onto the pitch convinced he would hurt opponents. Convinced he was indispensable, convinced the match could belong to him. If that certainty disappears, even partially, then the player loses part of his essence. You can move a winger. You can change his role. You can ask him to defend more. But if you damage his deep confidence, the cost becomes enormous. And that is what worries people today. Beyond systems, there is mentality. Vinicius is an emotional player. He plays with fire, passion, pride, the feeling of being at the center of the battle. If he feels he is no longer the priority, that the project now revolves around someone else, how does he react internally? Does he accept it calmly? Does he rise above it? Or does he shut down? Certain signs have fueled doubts, visible frustration, gestures of annoyance, closed expressions, inconsistency in impact. Maybe these are normal episodes in a demanding season, but at a club like Madrid, nothing is ever seen as ordinary. Everything becomes a message, everything becomes a symbol, everything becomes a topic. Spanish media feed on this. The smallest grimace becomes a crisis. The slightest silence becomes a cold war. One look becomes internal tension. Should everything be believed? No, certainly not. But should everything be dismissed? No again, because behind media exaggeration, there can still be truth. A difficult coexistence, incomplete adaptation, chemistry that is slow to develop. Mbappé has publicly said he has a very good relationship with Vinicius. That may be true, probably true personally. Two great players can genuinely respect each other, but a good human relationship does not guarantee perfect football harmony. You can appreciate each other off the pitch and still unintentionally hinder one another on it. So the issue is not necessarily some cartoonish ego war. The issue may be subtler and more dangerous. Two superstars trying to shine in similar zones, with different habits, in a team still searching for its identity. Meanwhile, time passes. At Real Madrid, time is cruel. A season without major trophies weighs heavily. Huge expectations become daily pressure. Debates grow extreme. People demand culprits, quick solutions. In that context, Vinicius is exposed. Why? Because he was already there before Mbappé. Because he represented the previous order. Because he can appear as the one who must adapt to the new superstar. And in many ways, that is unfair. Because without Vinicius, the club would not have enjoyed several recent great European nights. Without him, many matches would not have turned Madrid's way. He carried this shirt in crucial moments. He delivered when courage was needed. He deserves respect. He deserves people reminding others of his value instead of burying him at the first sign of turbulence. But elite football does not live on gratitude. It lives in the present. And the present raises a real question. How do you put Vinicius back at the center of what he does best while fully integrating Mbappé? If the answer is not found quickly, the risk is enormous. Not only for Vinicius, for the whole team. Because a team full of stars without coordination becomes vulnerable against a well-structured collective. We have seen it many times in football history. Names are not enough. Posters are not enough. Social media hype is not enough. You need clear roles, shared effort, accepted sacrifice. Who runs without the ball? Who holds width? Who attacks depth? Who presses first? Who gives up certain zones? Without clear answers, talent neutralizes itself. And Vinicius could become the first victim of that uncertainty. Some will say, he just has to adapt. Partly true, but take a fish out of water, and you are no longer judging the fish fairly. Vinicius is not some interchangeable player. He has specific instincts. He destroys opponents when receiving at speed, with space, isolating defenders one-on-one from the left side. If you disconnect him from that too often, you reduce his natural impact. Others will say competition will make him better. Maybe. Great champions feed on challenge. But competition must be constructive, not destabilizing. If it creates hunger, it is positive. If it creates confusion, it is toxic. And that is exactly the fine line Madrid stands on today. The most worrying thing is not a temporary bad spell. The most worrying thing would be the installation of a lasting narrative. Mbappé is the new sun. Vinicius is the satellite. If that story takes hold in the dressing room, media, and among fans, then the mental battle becomes huge for the Brazilian. Because a leader who feels his throne shaking does not play with the same freedom. He may overforce actions. He may try to prove himself on every touch. He may lose patience faster. He may lose simplicity. We have seen this mechanism in many stars before. That is why the club's management will be decisive. The staff must protect both players, but also protect the collective balance. They must speak honestly, clarify responsibilities, create an environment where Vinicius does not feel demoted and Mbappé does not carry the savior label alone. They must remind everyone that nobody wins alone at Real Madrid. Not yesterday, not today, not tomorrow. If this management fails, consequences could be severe. Divided dressing room narratives, inconsistent performances, rising frustration, transfer rumors, toxic atmosphere. Opponents would enjoy such chaos. The great paradox of this story is that Vinicius and Mbappé could become a terrifying duo if everything truly clicks. Speed, power, runs, finishing, constant imbalance. The potential is monstrous, but potential gives no points in the table. Only reality on the pitch matters. And so far, that reality has sometimes felt incomplete. So yes, concern is justified. Not panic, not condemnation, not invented wars, but clear-eyed concern. Because Vinicius is a sporting asset of the club. Because a player of that level should not be diluted inside a poorly designed project. because a Galactico signing should never weaken what was already among the club's best strengths. The next few weeks will be crucial. Either Vinicius rediscovers his fire, his smile, his dominance, and competition becomes a blessing. Or the discomfort settles in, and rumors become a storm. The message is simple and direct. Real Madrid must act now. Find the formula, protect its stars, restore clear roles, because if Vinicius mentally disconnects, the club loses far more than a winger. It loses a fighting soul, and on great European nights, that is not easily replaced. Madridistas, open your eyes. This situation is serious. The story is not written yet, but the danger exists. The question is no longer whether the talent is there. The question is whether Madrid will make it coexist before frustration destroys what talent once promised. Thank you for watching the video. I'm counting on you to subscribe and share.